ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight in China, where there are many sayings and many slogans, including this one: kill one and educate 100. Today, the Chinese government's attempt to educate the country continued. 24 more people were executed. ABC's Ken Kashiwahara is in Beijing.
The 7 protesters were shown on Beijing television tonight, shortly before they were taken away in police cars to be executed. All were convicted of setting fire to military trucks and assaulting Chinese soldiers during the pro-democracy demonstrations. And in Shanghai, these scenes were broadcast showing 3 men just before their execution yesterday. They appear to have ropes around their necks being paraded before a large crowd. China's national newscast tonight continued to show the unrelenting crackdown on dissent, but with a new twist. 7 of the protesters were accused of being part of a Taiwan spy ring. They were followed by intelligence agents and photographed with hidden cameras. There is also a new twist in the government's propaganda campaign. Home video cassettes are being sent to Chinese embassies around the world, showing the government's revision of history. Scene after scene of army vehicles being destroyed and soldiers being abused. There are no scenes of students being killed or wounded. The cassettes are also available in local video stores, but it's not clear who will buy them. For the average Chinese, they cost the equivalent of 1 month's salary. Ken Kashiwahara, ABC News, Beijing.
The Chinese government continues to make one thing perfectly clear. It doesn't care what other governments around the world think of its policy. It's more concerned with its own citizens, its internal interests in arrests and executions. The international business community, on the other hand, is another matter. In Beijing, they want the businessman to come back. Here's ABC's Jackie Judd.
China's foreign trade minister was suddenly available for interviews today. In a bid to win back American investors, he talked about improving production and cutting red tape. But will those businessmen have to go along with the government's version of recent events in order to get along? Of course not, he said. Those who have different ideas can still cooperate very well. A few Americans are now returning to find that out for themselves. General Electric's representative came back the other day. Chrysler has decided it will soon bring back U.S. managers to this Jeep plant. Chrysler's man in Beijing, like most company managers we contacted, refused to be interviewed on camera about doing business while the government is cracking down.
They say the political situation is too sensitive, the moral implications too uncomfortable to discuss, and the chance their words would be used as a Chinese propaganda tool too great.
One U.S. firm recently went to a presumably private meeting. It ended up on prime-time government news as an example of continued confidence in China. A setup, an unwitting participant called it. Because of incidents like that, when future contracts are discussed, 2 Chinas will come to mind: beckoning smiles of a trade official and tanks rolling into Tiananmen Square. But an American executive says the reality is business. If we don't do it, somebody else will. Jackie Judd, ABC News, Beijing.
In a moment, for the first time, baseball goes on the record as having hard evidence that Pete Rose gambled on baseball. And later in the broadcast, an innovative approach to getting young people to work for the minimum wage and rewriting the history of World War II, 15,000 feet under the Atlantic.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Imodium AD.